clear. Go.
Have you ever dreamt about going out for dinner with an amazing celebrity? Perhaps you want to spend some quality time with your anime waifu, or maybe even find out what it feels like to copulate with a sorceress on the back of a unicorn. If so, then in Cyberpunk 2077, all this and more is possible with Braindance. If you cannot get your fix with a Joy Girl or Joy Boy, then in Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk narrative, alternative reality or Braindance tech can drive the action, while VRs enhance the backgrounds and interactive aspects. Powerful computers can recreate people and fictional characters, including ancient and alien worlds, with a level of detail never seen before. Whether you're lying in a comfortable ISO booth or net interfaced in your own home, you'll enter a super realistic world designed by the best historians, psychologists, and entertainment engineers available. Try a new kind of entertainment. Leave your world to live another life, and share the experience with dozens of other users connected with you in the same reality, where you can act freely and safely. So, what is Braindance? In many respects, its modus operandi is similar to netrunning in that it allows, via neural transmission, a person to fully and realistically experience an alternate reality. Unlike the interface a netrunner uses, the perceptions are not created from the user's brain, but rather from the recorded thoughts, memories, and physical sensations of another person. In terms of mainstream media, Braindance is somewhat reminiscent of the memory implants from Arnold Schwarzenegger's 1990 movie, Total Recall.
No, I'm telling you, Doug, your brain will not know the difference. And that's guaranteed, or your money back.
Furthermore, in the Witcher 3 Blood and Wine expansion quest, La Cage aux Fours, Geralt and his vampire friend Regis brew a resonance potion that allows Geralt to relive Detlef's experience from when he lost his hand, which is also similar to how Braindance works.
We must brew a decoction which Kovinaris gave a rather poetic name, resonance. Once imbibed, it sends one into a trance similar to that induced by narcotics. This triggers visions of events linked to strong emotions experienced by the tissue's owner. Picture it as dreaming a fragment of someone's life.
Any chance we might see what Detlef was doing just before he lost his hand?
Indeed. Though I also hope resonance will reveal the location of Detlef's hideout.
Originally developed as a method of aversion programming for convicted criminals, and later as a military simulator, the Braindance is fast becoming the most popular form of entertainment in today's media-oriented society. Several companies, including DMS, Braindance Incorporated, and Home Braindance Organization, have many employees whose sole purpose is to go out and get involved in situations that normal people only dream of. As they confront these dangers, a technician records the entire experience and will later edit them for the viewing audience. Once a suitable length chip has been compiled and edited, the chips are distributed to various locations for mass production. There are several ways to gain access to the Braindance. The first is at an arcade, a multi-level room consisting of private booths in which a person can experience the Braindances which are currently being offered by the distribution services. As shown in the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay demo, in V's apartment, there is a Zetatech no-house interface with an option to order Braindance, meaning you can now enjoy Braindance within the confines of your own home. Raven Microcybernetics also sold one of the top super compact Braindance recorders back in Cyberpunk 2020. The alternative reality process, or Braindance, was invented by Yuriko Tsujimoto, a graduate student at the University of California at Santa Cruz in 2007. Using an extrapolated Moss equation, the basis for neural response translation, and a netrunner interface as a base, Yuriko Tsujimoto managed to record her thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations into a standard information chip. When she plugged the chip back into the modified cyber modem she was using as a recorder, Tsujimoto was able to experience what she had recorded in exact detail. Upon receiving her PhD from Santa Cruz, Tsujimoto went to work for the state of California as a researcher in penal reform. It was here that she and Norman Lassmer, a noted penal psychologist, began to realize the implications of her discovery as pertaining to penal reform. Psychologists had often discussed the desire and need for criminal reprogramming. Many felt that a criminal had forfeited his or her rights upon breaking the law, and should therefore be subjected to adverse conditioning against the crime they had committed. In December 2002, the Supreme Court, by unanimous vote, approved criminal reconditioning for certain antisocial crimes. The victory was bittersweet, as reconditioning methods were primitive and generally ineffective until Tsujimoto's discovery. With the introduction of the alternative reality process, psychological reconditioning could be rendered cheaply and effectively, removing prisoners from the prison population. This last point is what sold the state on this system. By reconditioning prisoners, the state could relieve the overcrowded prison conditions that existed. In order to achieve the desired effect of the braindance, as most people were now referring to the process, Lassmer and Tsujimoto had to create a nightmare-like situation in which the offending subject would be placed. They reasoned the sought-after version would come from the offender experiencing repeated instances of their crime being foiled and severe harm coming to the criminal in the attempt. Although they had no database to work from, a few criminals were actually filmed committing a crime, and none whose sensory nerves were being rerouted into a recorder. The researchers were undaunted. After several setbacks, Lassmer and Tsujimoto managed to convince the California State Senate to partially fund their project and to offer sentence reduction for project volunteers. The final step in convincing the Senate came when Militech offered to help with the funding and offered jobs to those who were released early in exchange for a license to market the Braindance machines as a military simulator. With the combined offers of Militech and the state of California, there were some volunteers, but not enough to complete one database, let alone the 7 they wished to have. On March 2009, they achieved their big break. Harold D. McElroy, a convicted mass murderer, was due to be executed by the state when he made an unusual request. If Militech would give compensation to his family, then McElroy would allow himself to be killed while recreating one of the scripted crimes of Lassmer and Tsujimoto. Once a set amount of money was agreed upon and a contract signed, McElroy allowed his death to be recorded. Once the deal was announced, the general public became outraged at the nature of the bargain which McElroy struck, though Lassmer, Tsujimoto and Militech felt it was a critical turning point for their project. They were correct. Soon thereafter, 8 inmates who were scheduled to be executed within a year made similar agreements with Militech, and the deaths were recorded as well. Although the initial database was small and the first correctional braindance ran only an hour and a half, the program was successful. After much experimentation in which 3 inmates who had volunteered for the project were rendered brain dead by the machine dysfunction, the braindance was introduced into the San Quentin Correctional Facility. The first inmate to undergo the braindance, Gerald Weisenheimer, spent 9 hours a day for 1 week living inside the braindance. Although he admitted the actual experience needed to be lengthened, Weisenheimer announced he would never commit robbery again. When pressed to describe the experience, he vowed never to touch another person for as long as he lived. This success was a great incentive to the state of California to further fund the program, which had drawn flack from all branches of the government until it was proven to work. With increased funding in 2009, combined with a national government contract to produce more machines and braindance tapes, Lassmer and Tsujimoto formed Braindance Incorporated. Soon after the formation of Braindance Incorporated, Militech, who had been independently producing its own military simulator, announced a joint venture with Diverse Media Systems, aka DMS, and Braindance Incorporated to investigate the market value of braindance as an entertainment form. As braindance became a more socially acceptable form of entertainment, there were also dangers which must be realized. As with most forms of mass market entertainment, there is a problem with illegal duplication and distribution of the braindance chips. Although the mass-produced chips are carefully screened for acts which may cause disruption of a person's mental or bodily functions, and those which may not be suitable for some are labelled with a warning, home-produced braindances are under no such jurisdiction. For instance, there have been reports in Night City that braindance chips containing sadomasochistic acts have ended up killing the user. Another issue with braindance is the possibility of subliminal suggestions. It has been found that several black market chips were doing just that. Although Braindance has two primary functions, those of entertainment and re-education, it has other uses. By collecting a large enough database, a company could actually train new employees using Braindance. Although their bodies would need to adjust the skill, the person would already have a knowledge of how a certain function is supposed to be performed, without the waste of manpower to supervise the training. Braindance therapy is also used to rehabilitate patients with cyberpsychosis. It's important to distinguish between the different types of Braindance chips. It's generally accepted that chips fall into 5 distinct categories: experience chips, memory chips, environment chips, virtual reality, and visitor reality chips. Experience chips carry a recorded program in which the Braindance is a passive observer. These Braindances are similar to movies where you are the star. An experience chip shuts out the real world as long as it is running. Memory chips are a more subtle form of experience chip. Memory chips contain a recorded event, much like an experience chip. Instead of shutting out the world, the chip user remembers events as if they actually took part in them. Environment chips are a new development and are quite popular with office workers. An environment chip is a hallucinogenic experience which fools the senses without interfering with primary thought processes. For instance, a worker using an environment chip will not see the walls of their office, but perhaps an exotic beach. Virtual reality is the most sophisticated and complete form of Braindance, and perhaps the most famous one. Effectively, the person is plugged into a virtual reality program that is separate from the outside world. Inside this reality, the person can experience almost everything the programmers desire.
Anything is possible here. Let me show you.
Back in Cyberpunk 2020, there was actually an alternative to Braindance. For those who did not have enough eddies, you could always try wireheading. Historically, wireheading experiments were conducted on rats and monkeys in the 1960s, and then on humans from the 70s. The first use on humans for non-medical reasons was in the prison system in early 2002. An electronic receptor was attached to the heads of people condemned to life in prison. A jolt of emotion, such as terror, could be sent to their brain. Prison guards were quick to exploit the system, and discovered that a prisoner could be kept in a state of relaxed contentment simply by applying the correct signal to them at all times. In the prisons of the early 2000s, wireheading spread as the most cost-effective way to keep prisoners under control. The inevitable happened in 2005, when these prisoners were released onto the streets. They were addicted to wire. Criminal fixers were initially more than happy to accommodate them, but quickly stopped. Their reasons are less altruistic than practical. Once a person is on the wire, they don't use anything else, essentially making them a one-time consumer, instead of a repeat buyer like a drug addict. As for Braindance in Cyberpunk 2077, it seems that this particular form of cyberpunk entertainment has become easier to access than before, as evidenced in Femvy's apartment. The quest possibilities involving Braindance are myriad, given a Braindance is only limited by one's imagination. Lizzie Wizzy and her band The Metadwarfs, a prominent Braindance influencer, has already been revealed in the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer. So it seems reasonable to assume many more characters will be involved in the Braindance scene in Night City. Hey Chumba, I'm Kazuliski, and I hope you found the Cyberpunk 2077 discussion on Braindance to be informative. Are you interested in more Cyberpunk 2077 content? Then be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or feedback, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you for chipping in.